Destiny 2 is changing, and that's a good thing.
Destiny 2 is in a constant state of, we're so back. It's so over. We're so back. It's Jova. And I don't have much to add to the conversation of where it's gone wrong for Bungie. Incompetent leadership with a burning desire for nothing but to see the money go up, taking everything that you've earned from your cash cow and investing it into everywhere but your cash cow.
Is it back or is it Jover though? It's not. Is it Jover? We're getting a new dungeon next week. What do you mean? We're so back.
A lack of insightfulness of what truly matters to players and the inability to therefore address key problems that your main franchise is now faltering after the highest of highs it's ever had. My best wishes are still...
Well, the highest of highs, that's the key part about that. The final shape was a success. It was critically acclaimed, like 10 out of 10 type of thing. But it wasn't the highest of highs, like in terms of population and sales. Like Lightfall sold better than the final shape. The population wasn't nearly as good as various other eras in Destiny 2, but it was good. It's almost like it was really good. It just didn't age very well.
Still out for the employees of last year and this year's layoffs, and for those that do remain who leave everything on the table to give players a great video game to play, I still thank you for that. It was never the everyday dev's fault for Destiny's issues. It was always upper management, but like I say, I'm not here to talk about Bungie's future, whether it hinges on Marathon, etc, etc. I'm here to offer a different take. See, since the launch of episode 1, it's been nothing really but doom and gloom for Destiny. And I know it. I feel it. And you want to know why? I've not played since the end of Act 1 of episode 1. And
so many people have been saying that. Everyone's like, I stopped playing after Act 1 in episode 1. This has become a very common thing. Everyone just dropped off at that point. Put the Nighthawk on the skeleton.
I have little intention of playing till episode 3 at best. Yet Matt, this video is titled about optimism for the future of Destiny, but you're not even playing the game. My 2 cents is that Destiny 3 is what was needed. It was the only real answer, the truth be told. I could rant all day about the lack of foresight in not knowing that Destiny 3 is what would eventually be needed down the line. About how
I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna meet everyone in the street that wants Destiny 3, and I'm going to fight you all, one by one. Alright, listen. I am not saying that I wouldn't play Destiny 3, but I've said this a few times before, that Destiny 3 would require complete creativity and innovation that Bungie just doesn't have. Like, they're just... If they had that creativity and they had that innovation, you would feel that in Destiny 2. You'd be like, whoa, every time something new. Like, you'd be like, every year there'd be something dramatically new and interesting. And then you would be like, wow, imagine if Bungie just like went all in on redoing all these crazy things and just made a whole new game. Instead, it's just like recycled, 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 recycled. And then we're like, hey, let's get a Destiny 3 because surely that would help. I mean, that would just be more recycled stuff. Destiny 3 would just be everything you have right now in Destiny 2, except the colors changed and you paid for it again. So, and then you lose all your loot too that you spent however many hours playing to grind for. So Destiny 3 is a doomed idea is what the chat is saying. I agree. Destiny 3 is a doomed idea. I strongly disagree with it until someone says this is why Destiny 3, like this is what you would do in Destiny 3 to make it better. Other than that, it's just a number. Why not Destiny 4, Destiny 5? Like, just you could just change the number. It doesn't mean anything. You need like a reason why. What is Destiny 3 going to do? What is Destiny 3 going to reinvent? What is Destiny 3 going to innovate? All it's going to be is just more recycled stuff. Destiny 3 would not be the answer. I don't want to lose everything I'm buying the cash shop. Exactly. You don't want to lose all this stuff. You bought all this cosmetics. You bought all this cosmetics. Bungie made billions of dollars off all those Eververse cosmetics. You think they're trying to just get rid of all that? People would be pissed. The thing to think about too is that we've already done that to some degree, right? Like we did Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. How was that received? Or terribly? Like everyone was mad. Everyone was like, what the hell? Now you want to do it again? see what happens. Destiny 3 kills the game in like less than 6 months. That game launches. Destiny 2 dies because Destiny 3's out, and then Destiny 3 is garbage because there's no possible way it could not be, as far as I can tell, until I've been shown something else. Yeah, you'd be pissed to have to start all over. The whole point of the game is to be a looter shooter game. You collect loot, like that's the point. You don't want to start all over again. You can start over in other ways, like we can change the planetary director, and like we can go to a new solar system and explore new planets, but your vault and all your weapons and all your armor, that has to go with you. Like it just a part of the game. You would just lose a sizable amount of people. There's some people that would be so burnt out that they wouldn't care. They're like, ah, fuck it, dude. Maybe we'll get to that point where the game is at such a steep decline that people don't care, but we're not there yet.
Oh, we crave a reset. Bungie needs time off working in a live environment, and well, now there's less staff on Destiny than ever as a result of the layoffs, and so here comes a change in Destiny. I think Destiny 2 will become a more enjoyable experience now as a result of its shift. Destiny 2 is the juggernaut of live service games, at least it was, and with that came a constant demand for content and engagement. For me, that's how we ended up with the copy and paste seasonal story quests. It's how loot has become so power crept. I simply have no intention of grinding to get new loot, because why on earth would I, compared to my 5,000 other guns in my vault?
And that's partly due to crafted weapons. Like, crafted weapons and exotics basically can comprise the entirety of the necessary meta currently in Destiny 2. You don't really need to grind for god rolls. Crafted weapons was a huge mistake. I die on this hill. I don't know why Bungie ever did crafted weapons. It sounded cool at first. Like, crafted weapons for, like, it should be like exotics, god rolls, crafted weapons. So like crafted weapons have a purpose because you can like get a pretty good roll of, let's say, a pulse rifle or a hand cannon that you could use in PvP. But if the crafted hand cannon is the best hand cannon in PvP, then you never need to grind god roll. You just should be exotics, god rolls, crafted weapons. And obviously god rolls are more difficult to get than exotics, but exotics and god rolls add a dynamic of time commitment that's good for players, because not everyone is going to have time to grind for the god roll, so having an exotic like Ace of Spades for the hand cannon is a good option. So that way people are like, oh, I don't have a god roll, I'll just use my ace, you know? Like a lot of people go down that route. They're like, oh, I'll just use the ace for now, you know, until they get convinced to use the god roll of something else. But
it's why expansions, apart from Lightfall, all ruled, and why seasons were stale. It's too much, too consuming, too big. That in the pursuit for more, all it's done is just add more, not meaningfully. I'm excited for Destiny 2 to become smaller, less demanding, more innovative and less formulaic. I didn't come to Destiny 2 to run seasonal activity, talk to vendor. Go do quest, talk to vendor. See you next week. I came to Destiny to mystery, for the intrigue that I was so fascinated by the lore of this one gun Thorn and all these possibilities and what is really out there and who is out there and what it could all mean. Bungie always say it, but Destiny is at its best when it surprises, when it's mysterious. Trying to be that never-ending, always playing games means it can never ever be that. There's no doubt, obviously, that from all these changes, those most impacted are the Destiny-centric content creators. All good people, this change...
That's me. This is me, but this is me right here. Me when I stream Act 3.
Changing content cadence and delivery is obviously a blow for them. Destiny is changing, and the amount of content that came for them to cover will be reduced, and that's tough for them for sure. But I'm going to be real, for the everyday player, I just can't shake the feeling that now I've taken a step back, that Destiny becoming smaller and a more focused experience is the best possible scenario outside of a Destiny 3. I believe that this change is a good thing. I really do believe that.
It might be a good change for like the more casual audience, I would say. Like, it's kind of the argument I think he's formulating with this. But we can also see that, you know, in terms of player population, that it's not a good thing in terms of the health of the game. As players leave more, and the population dwindles. What we're seeing is that the episodes in Destiny 2 are 4 months long, and that last month of the episode is bad, is terrible. This last month in this episode has been some of the worst population and downtime we've ever seen. It's been like the worst experience in recent years. It's definitely been the worst. The most comparable thing to it is Destiny 2 Year 1. So there's an element, you have to have a balance. You have to have a lot of fresh new things added to the game, a lot of new updates, and then you also have to have the ability for things to be stretched out a little bit to some degree. It has to be stretched across those 4 months.
So let's talk about how it's all
I will never quit.
And how
you say you'll never quit, but how much did you play? That's the key. It's not about will you quit Destiny 2. Bungie doesn't think you're going to quit Destiny 2. They already know that they have you trapped in their Stockholm syndrome, but they want to keep your play session time higher. And how much did you play the Final Shapes episode 1 comparative to previous expansions? That's what Bungie cares about, and that's the real issue here.
How I've got to this opinion. Annual expansions are out. 2 expansions a year are in. Coming in 2025 is Codename Apollo and Codename Behemoth. Out are seasons, or what we call episodes now. In are 3 major updates. Out are raids. Nah, just kidding. Imagine. But no, 1 new raid a year and 1 new dungeon a year, with raid and dungeon events promised, similar to Pantheon. I love the story and the lore behind Destiny. Playing Excision as the final part of the Final Shape campaign was emotional. It was magical. It really did feel fulfilling and satisfying as an end to a saga that I've been playing for so many years of my life. But it's true, like Bungie say, that these campaigns are brilliant, but they offer such little replay value and they're so rigid. You know what you're getting. With Codename Apollo, Bungie is trying a method of being non-linear with its storytelling. The jury will be out on this, and often with narratives in games, non-linear storytelling, like with Ubisoft, it can suck, it really can. But it can work. I for one am for the unconventional methods of trying to surprise us as players again. The campaigns, I loved them, but with a smaller team, it just doesn't seem like a good allocation of resources. And I like that they are doubling down on the fact that just because they're going for maybe like a roguelike or some non-linear storytelling or some Metroidvania kind of formula in the way they're going to tell these stories doesn't mean they're forsaking the lore and the story of the wider Destiny universe. When you are a long-running game, and in Destiny 2's case, over 7 years now, the last thing that you want to become is predictable. Because when you become predictable, you become boring. And I'm the example of that. I love Destiny. Like, if you look over my shoulder, you see the Destiny 1 tower that came in the final shape. You see a Thorn replica.
Got that Master Chief.
So many memories playing Destiny. Just incredible ones that are some of the best gaming memories I own. But I got to the end of Act 1 and I just felt pure apathy. Just nothing. Destiny has to become mysterious again with its secrets. Destiny's greatest asset is its community.
Problem is, they got data miners, so even if they try to bring some secrets in this game, data miners are going to be exposing those secrets and sharing them every time. But I think even Bungie's burnt out on secrets or secrecy because everything gets just leaked so early. It's an unfortunate thing. It's a thing that I avoided for a long time. I didn't talk about it or look at it. And then eventually I was just like, all right, well, everyone's talking about it. And it's to the point where, you know, might as well talk about it as well too, because staying away from it ended up just getting spoiled on social media every day. When you have to open up Twitter every day because it's part of your job, you get spoiled on all the new stuff.
Not the dickheads calling you a fake warlock because you did one bad warlock build and you didn't understand how stats worked for the first time, and you like lightning, but whatever. But Destiny's community is working together to solve puzzles, figuring out raids for the first time. The raids races, though not being all secretive and blocking our screens. What are we, 5? It's at its best.
He's calling out people blocking their screens and muting their streams. Yeah, that was, and I still to this day, I'm so perplexed by the fact that that's where we're at now, where we have Twitch rivals streaming the top teams trying to solve the raid, and everyone's screen is blocked out, so you're just watching blocked out screens for hours, and there's nothing to look at, there's nothing to watch or interact with. You're like, okay, like what the fuck is this, you know? Like there needs to be, like, I understand that the where we're at right now, it makes sense for those streamers and those content creators to block their screens, but we need to come up with a system where we don't do that, because that's just that's just the shittiest thing. Like, it's just, there needs to be a better system in place where we don't need to do that. That's what it needs to be. There needs to be a system in place where that's not necessary, where you don't feel like you need to block your screen, because it would have been really cool to watch those people's screens. It would have been really cool, and it would have hyped up the raid race substantially, I think.
When the community is together, when the community is asking the questions about why something is the way it is, what's out there, what is this larger threat, and where's the TWAB? The other aspect that excites me is the idea that it's just not relentlessly pursuing my time all the time. Other than content creators and those that are just purely locked in, I think most people enjoy the best of Destiny when they have good regular breaks from the game. Seriously, when I've took a...
What? Is he talking about developing healthy gaming habits? This guy sickens me. Play all day, every day, 15 hours a day.
Break from Destiny and then came back, it's like, yeah, this rules. But when the game is so demanding of your time all the time, nah, I think that's how we get to these stages of burnout and apathy. But you may say,
part of the issue with that though is that what is time consuming for one person is not as time consuming for another person. So that's where we have a real difficulty in balancing these things. So for example, if I were to give you, the viewer out there watching this right now, if I were to give you the task of completing Master Witness Challenge right now, some of you, it would take 6 hours. Some of you would take 3 tries. Some of you, it would take 6 weeks. And that's the truth. You might think, nah, I got this shit. You've never done it before. You never beat the raid before. How are you gonna beat that? You know? Some of you, you might not even be able to do it. And how do we balance the time commitments to all those different things, you know? How do you possibly balance that out? Time commitment is very subjective, because I've noticed having friends that are super efficient. I have like friends like Dwayne, Crimson. These guys are like ridiculously efficient. They get in the game, they mash through the activities super efficiently and fast. They get the loot and then they're gone. They play other games. And what takes them an hour to do takes the average person 10 hours to do, I swear. If the activity is really difficult. If not more.
they're doubling the expansion, so they're asking for more of it. But these are medium-sized expansions, and seasons being pretty much demolished, that excites me a lot more. It excites
that system actually doesn't excite me, it intrigues me. I think excite's the wrong word for myself. This is intriguing to me. I'm curious to see how this plays out. Instead of that one big expansion that's kind of spread things thin. Obviously, they've been kind of spreading things thin for a while now. We've been doing the content drip method, and it's had some success and failures at times. Can be a bit of a slog at times, but looking at this overall, this comes across like something new to do every week, which has had mixed results in episode 1, but has potential in episode 2 to actually deliver on what we kind of want it to be, which is I just want to have something to do in Destiny each week that's meaningful, that's fun, that's engaging, that's either new. If it's not new, then it's like reprised, refreshed in some way. That's kind of the goal. So I actually look at this and I think I'm optimistic about this.
It excites me because they have to give me a reason to play rather than a rule, because otherwise you miss the story and the content.
FOMO.
There's still aspects of seasons like activities, rewards, balances, etc. But I just can't imagine it being as formulaic, and that's a good thing. Having one new raid and one new dungeon a year, as well as following up with Pantheon-like activities, is also a good thing. Those are some of the best. In fact, I would always go as far to say that raids in Destiny are some of the best content in video games, period. That feeling of challenge, Teamwork, communication, mechanics, when it all fits together, it is magical. I understand people will be disappointed by just one of each, but they're a smaller team, and as long as quality is maintained, I'm personally okay with it. It's still a case of wait and see though, like we need to look at the price point, the content and the quality of it. But stuff like combat modifiers that's coming.
That's the thing though, is that I don't know if the quality is going to be better. I understand that that's like just optimistic thinking. It's just, but the reality is that the quality hasn't been feeling like it's, I mean, in some ways it seems like they're trying to make the game deeper, so the potential for the quality to get better is there, but it's worrisome, right? It's worrisome because Bungie made billions of dollars, and what you want to do is you want to keep growing and delivering more content at a faster pace and building a bigger audience, building, you know, new audience, like people jumping into the game, a game that's so exciting and so fun that everyone wants to jump in and play at some point in time. And this model doesn't necessarily scream that at me, but I mean, it's the direction Destiny is going, and I like this franchise enough that I'm gonna see it, you know, ride it out and see what happens. We'll see where it goes, but I'm curious to see if this actually is a better way. I doubt that. Less is almost never more. Like, less is usually not more, right? So we'll see. We got used to 2 raids and 2 dungeons, and that was a really good time. That might end up being the golden era, so we might look back and be like, man, remember back in the day?
There's a lot of interesting
That was could be our golden era.
The next thing that I want to mention that is literally killing the game from Bungie's side. People stop playing games all the time. It is normal. The problem for Destiny is that when a player leaves, I can't imagine a line of players entering because the onboarding flat out sucks. I got one of my best mates into Destiny before Lightfall struck. I know, how unfortunate. But getting to re-experience so many activities like raids and dungeons for the first time through his lens was reinvigorating. It was exciting because it was like looking at that content with a fresh pair of eyes. And no matter what, someone might say to you, I want to get into Destiny. I can never ever recommend it in good faith.
I feel that. I feel that so much. I was just about to say, like, I was about to say it without being mean. I was like, you're a terrible friend getting your friend into Destiny, right? Don't get your friends addicted to Destiny.
Unless I'm going to be there for every step of their journey. Because the onboarding is just flat out awful. I think this was something that was always known at Bungie, and higher ups probably said, waste of resources, blah blah blah, because they're so incompetent. Anyway, since Destiny 3 ain't happening for years at best now, if it even ever does, they have to fix this. They have to fix this. They have to make it a possibility for people to enter this universe. Player counts by Destiny standards are very low right now, because people have just...
Well, it's a war of philosophies if you think about it, though. If you want the game to have more depth for players that have been playing for 7+ years, right? Maybe even 10 years, right? If you want those players to stick with the game, you have to add more depth to the game. More depth to the game equals more complexity for new players. So which do you want? Do you want more depth to the game, which means that the existing players continue to play? Or do you want to make the onboarding easier so that way new people can jump right in? It's like, you can't have both exactly. Like, you can't exactly have both, right? Like, the two are at war with each other. And as the game, what I think Bungie is leaning in towards, though, I think that Bungie genuinely believes that they can't onboard new people to this game. And to be fair, that's actually the way it's worked with some of these other games. If you look at like WoW and them, I believe they have a similar trajectory like that. And so I think that onboarding new people is really difficult. The key is to just continue to build for the audience that wants to play Destiny. If Bungie lost the people, because it's a risky business, right? If Bungie lost the people that really like playing the game so they could get new players, those players, they don't even know what the half-life is of those players. They don't know how long those players stick around. They know that the players who've been playing since the beginning are still here. Half the people who play this game now are like, yeah, I've been playing since the freaking alpha. Been playing, like, we're all creatures of habit, right? I think that new player onboarding, as much as I know that as a business, and I know that Sony wants onboarding and they want new players, and they're breathing down Bungie's neck saying get more new players in Destiny 2 or else, right? That's what they're saying to them, right? It's just like an impossible task almost, without completely burning all of the current existing players. It's just Destiny 2, you can't have a grindy game and a game that has easy onboarding. How is that possible? How could you have a grindy game, a game like, how could I easily onboard someone to have my vault right now? I have 22,000 hours in this game. You think you could get my vault? You think you could easily onboard to have the loot I have? 22,000 hours? How? What could you even do? They're creating some systems like shared fireteam power, but that helps a little bit, but I don't know what they're gonna do without completely devaluing the 22,000 hours that have been put in, right? Or devaluing all the weapons in your vault currently. There's just no way. How many hours are those floating in orbit?
We're fulfilling
0.
End of saga
I don't even know what orbit is.
What a way to end it. What a way to bow out. And for people who hear that, they may be like, ooh, you know what, maybe I'll give it a shot and try to get to this end of saga experience. And then they're overwhelmed, and then they're gone. If Destiny is to thrive, a new onboarding and simplified systems is non-negotiable. So I'm excited for non-linear storytelling, dungeon keys being binned, modernizing UI and onboarding, 2 medium expansions a year, traditional seasons going, and a new saga beginning. Optimistic, but here's where I'm not. The core loop of Destiny. We are so...
One thing I want to say, and I wouldn't actually say this, but this is off the record, but it's more like that Jordan meme. He's like, fuck them kids. I'm like fuck them new players. What does new players come into this game have to do? You know, like, I mean, I want more people to jump into the game to some degree, yes, but ultimately I do want Bungie to really focus on making good content and building the systems that are currently in the game. Like, new players is good for the overall health of the game, because you do need people to do the raids with and stuff. But like, I don't know, I think Destiny is going to be a niche game. Can Destiny just be a niche game and not be the most popular game in the world and that be okay, you know? Can Destiny just perpetually have issues of acquiring new players and that be okay, you know? I feel like there's like this element of like, no, it's not acceptable. That's Bungie, they have to get new players. We need better onboarding. I agree the onboarding could be better. I agree all these things could be better, but Destiny will probably, like, if they haven't figured it out yet, I don't know how they're gonna figure it out suddenly. Like, clearly that's been a thing they've would always want, right? It's not like a new revelation to them, like a new revelation to Bungie, like, oh yeah, hey, like they know what's on the back end of. I think that Destiny is fundamentally going to struggle onboarding new players due to the very nature of the game itself. Think about this. Why are you not playing WoW? I'm interested in playing WoW. It's just the grind of getting my character leveled up, all of that stuff, not interesting to me, right? It's that initial barrier of entry, that grind. That grind is necessary, because if that grind was removed, then all the current WoW players wouldn't care for the game anymore. So why should they care? Why should they cater the entirety of WoW to what I would be, which is a new player to that game? I don't think they should. I think that Destiny 2 will always exist as a niche game, and I think that that's actually okay. I know this is like probably the most unpopular opinion in some ways, but I think that Destiny 2 will always be a niche game. I think it will always struggle with onboarding new players, and I think that that's okay. And I think that they're going to do small things to help that in some ways and remedy that, but I don't think they'll ever actually fix that. I don't think Destiny 2 will ever be a huge hit. I don't think it'll ever be a top 5 game, ever. It's going to be a niche game forever. That's just the way it is. It's the way it's structured to be. It can never be anything else, in my opinion.
Insanely powerful now. And you might be like, oh, well, why don't you go and run a Grandmaster blindfolded with one arm tied behind your back with just one sidearm? No. It's not about that. Not really. It's that making things challenging, they have to either hit really hard, or they just have to be a plethora of enemies, man. On the flip side, Sure, you can grind out another rocket sidearm for a 2% damage bonus, yeah. No, this is where I'm concerned personally. Abilities and weapons are so fun, but too powerful now, and that no matter what I'm doing other than raids or nightfalls or the most challenging content, I have my builds and they don't fail me and it's mindless. That can be okay for sure, but it kills my pursuit and therefore my playtime and therefore my engagement with the game. For example, the coil was a truly excellent activity. I loved running it with people, but I barely ever ran it because the pursuit behind what was in the coil didn't really do anything for me. So despite how excellent an activity may be, if the core loop of Destiny isn't fulfilling right now for small little incremental bonuses, I've got a major problem. Like, some loot of it was okay, but I've got my Buried Bloodline build now, and that will carry me wherever I need to go.
Yeah, that's well said, dude. I'm watching his gameplay. He's just running around with that fucking Buried Bloodline. He doesn't need anything else. He's like, dude, I got Buried Bloodline. I'm fucking getting Devour procs, weakening enemies and shit. Life is good, dude. I don't need anything else. He just unlocked his Buried Bloodline and that's it. GG's.
Or Indebted Kindness, blah blah blah. You get it. A good pursuit is not pinnacle grinds either. This to me is where the reset of a Destiny 3 was so very much needed, because I send prayers daily to that sandbox team to balance everything in PvE, let alone PvP. An ability reset.
A reset is something that could work. It just needs to be an innovative reset. This is my opinion of a Destiny 2 reset. So like in Call of Duty, I'll give you a good example in Call of Duty where a reset, every year they'd have a new game, right? And then eventually they came out with, I think, like Black Ops. And when you logged into Black Ops, it showed the prestige that you were in the previous games. And so what that did was is every year the new Call of Duty was a reset. But eventually your whatever prestige you got in the other games mattered because you could load into the lobby and people would be like, what? This guy is 10th prestige on Call of Duty Modern Warfare. He's 10th prestige on Call of Duty World at War. He's 10th prestige on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Like, you were 10th prestige on all of those other games. Like, this guy is insane. This guy has been grinding. There's got to be at least something cosmetic that transfers over if you grinded for something. Call of Duty. That's right. Call of Duty. You know what I'm talking about, Bacon. And so if they're going to do a reset, what there needs to be is at least some, like, your cosmetics have to transfer over, right? It would have to be a reset of, like, the problem is it's going to have to be a reset of weapons only, right? If they do a reset, it's going to have to be of weapons only, and there's going to have to be some way of, like, signifying that you did, like, say, like, an emblem that says you collected this many adept weapons or something. Like, something has to carry over to at least flex the accomplishments of your previous weapons that got fucking sunset or wiped away or whatever it may be, because and then what we need to do is have escalating power creep each and every episode and every act where the weapons escalate and get significantly more and more powerful, so that way you're inclined to actually grind for the new weapons. It's a big issue we have right now. If Bungie is too afraid of power creep, then people aren't going to play the game and get the new weapons. If Bungie leans into power creep too much, then it nullifies all the previous weapons, and the game gets kind of wonky when your fucking weapons are too powerful and you just melt everything.
A weapon reset is what was needed to regain
weapon
that
reset,
pursuit.
yeah.
And you may say,
I actually agree with him.
Why do you want to grind everything out again when you've just done it for years? And well, my friend, Destiny 2 is a looter shooter where the loot right now is uninspiring.
That's true.
And this will be
That's
my
very
sticking
true.
point as to whether long term Destiny 2 can retain my interest, that when I come back for its bi-yearly expansion I stick around, or once again I feel that apathy. Ultimately, I think there's multiple good moves being made here by Bungie. No more dungeon keys is good. Raid and dungeon activities is good. A new saga is exciting. Modernizing the UI is good. The jury is still out whether non-linear storytelling will work, whether 2 medium-sized expansion a year will be fulfilling and worthwhile, whether the core loot will remain worth grinding and pursuing, and finally, whether Pete Parsons and his incompetent exec team are able to not fuck up anyone else's livelihood. I think a Destiny 2 that is less demanding of a player's time, that allows breaks and breathing room, that narrows its scope to become more mysterious and less predictable, is the course corrector that Destiny 2 needs in a world where Destiny 3 has never existed. It is a game of wait and see, but as always with Bungie, I'm tired of this being the case for the day-to-day devs, that when their back's against the wall, they always seem to deliver. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on the future of Destiny 2. Do you agree? Are you positive? Are you optimistic in the way I am? Are you pessimistic? What are the features that are coming with these expansions that excite you most? And what are the things that you're pessimistic about? What are you not feeling yet, or you have your questions on? I'd love to talk with you in the comments down below. I'd really love to hear from you on this one. Just keep it civil, yeah. If you enjoyed hearing my thoughts, dropping a like would be appreciated. And hey, if you enjoy sci-fi games, comic book games, ultimately, I just enjoy talking about what I love and I'm passionate about on this channel. And Destiny is one of those, despite how I do feel about it right now. So if you're after more of that, maybe consider...
That's the Matt effect. Appreciate him. It was a good commentary piece he had there. Destiny 2 is changing, and that's a good thing. It's an interesting opinion. I think that Destiny 2 is changing, and I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of this change because it's not changing while maintaining same studio size. It's changing and they're declining, so the implications of them declining as a studio would lead you to believe that the game is going to decline. Not entirely certain that that's what's going to happen, especially if they have a new vision like they've mentioned and they're reinvesting in certain things that I think are actually the right things to reinvest in. The future is uncertain though at this point in time, but let me know what you think down in the comments below.